Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone can hear us well, and the technology will not let us down at this very important point. Okay, I can see some of our participants. Yes, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Oxford debate. I'm glad to see you all joining us from around the world. Today's debates coincide with the Christmas festivities around the world, and I would like to wish all of you who will be celebrating this Christmas next week happiness, strong health, and peace. To start with, I would like to say just a couple of words about the Academic Union. We are an education association based in central Oxford. We boost membership of 150 universities around the world. I'm very proud of this fact. The goal of our organization is to continuously enhance and develop education standards, particularly in the developing countries. And we are doing it by holding international conferences throughout the world, debates, and of course we publish literature which we submit to various very important institutions and libraries. One of our goals also is to recognize the high achievers in the field of education, and today is one of these special occasions when I will be very honored to present some of you with these special prizes, as well as welcome new members into the international family, international community of the Oxford Academic Union. Without further ado, may I announce the names of the winners, and it is my absolute pleasure to announce Dr. Hassanul Hassan, the founder, member, and chairman of the Board of Trustees of the American International University from Bangladesh, to receive the membership of the Academic Union. The American International University was established in 1994 and is one of the most renowned private universities in the country. It has long made its mark in developing the quality of education over the years, staying true to its motto, where leaders are created. Dr. Hassan, welcome to our great education community. And we look forward to your contributions on the subject of today's debate, the University of the Future, very much. Now we're moving on to the honorary titles. The community has set these titles for the great achievers in the education field, and we acknowledge today some of you to receive this honorary title. The candidates are chosen based on the following criteria: preparation and advancement of professional training for postgraduates and doctorates, establishment of relevant chairs and departments, development of an innovative projects, development of new or existing theories in science, technology, and economics. And it is with great pleasure I announce and bestow the title of honorary professorship on behalf of the Academic Union on to Dr. Lawrence Muganga, the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University from Uganda. Congratulations to you, Doctor, and we look forward to your presentation later on today. We're now moving on to our next nomination, the Achievements and Management of the Year Award in the Education sector. And our award winner today is the University of Security Management in Košice from Slovakia, and its president, Professor Marian Masaros. The award is presented to him for his distinctive leadership in the educational field, development of exclusive study programs, application of innovative teaching methods, and support of national and global social educational initiatives. The university is presented with the Best Enterprise Award, and Marian Masaros is bestowed with the Medal Manager of the Year. I sincerely congratulate you, sir, and wish you all the very best of luck in your future endeavors and success for your university. This brings us to, however, short award ceremony, which we normally hold at the Oxford Town Hall or here at the Council, but due to current circumstances, you all know we are doing it via this online format. Without further ado, I think we should now move on to the debates. The topic of the debate is the University of the Future. This is the concept that the Academic Union and its members have scrutinized over the past 10 years. We've continuously developed on this subject with numerous of our members contributing vastly on the topic of what university should be like, from digital university to classic university. We've held a number of debates. We've published a number of books, in fact, which are held here at the Bodleian Library in Oxford. And I hope that today's debate will be no less stimulating and in no way less informative and computative to the subject. And I'm sure it will be very interesting for everyone who is participating. May I now introduce my fellow colleague from the Academic Union, Dr. Rami Al-Hadizi, the visiting professor at the Global Education Career Center here in London and at the University of Victoria. He's also a member of the Council of the Academic Union and coordinating innovative projects in the field of education. Dr. Al-Hadizi is an award-winning professor of industrial technology and operations management, whose solid understanding of business administration in an engineering context, passion for learning, and consultative leadership style are the driving forces behind success of his over 30 years career. It is my absolute pleasure to pass over to the moderator of today, Dr. Hadizi, and I wish you a wonderful conference, wonderful debate, and very best experience today. Over to you, Dr. Al-Hadizi.
Thank you very much, dear Ivan. Good morning, everyone. I would like to invite all participants to take part in the Oxford debate. We are glad to welcome today speakers, experts, and participants from almost all continents. We are waiting for interesting speeches and active discussion of registered participants from Bangladesh, Brazil, Brunei Dar es Salaam, Canada, Colombia, India, Iraq, Jordan, Nigeria, Pakistan, Romania, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Slovakia, Uganda, United Kingdom, Ukraine, United States of America, and Vietnam. The debate is being broadcasted live on official Academic Union page and on Facebook worldwide, and the recording is available on request. I would like also to announce the rules and format of the debate. The debate is going to be in two sessions. First session is entitled Point of View, the concept and aims of the University of the Future. And the second session is pandemic outcomes to take forward for higher education. Also, I would like to mention the debate format is an introduction video for 3 minutes, then speech with presentation slides up to 10 minutes, followed by a question and answers session up to 10 minutes. And also, I would like to ask the participant to ensure that their microphones is turned off during the speaker's speech. And during the question and answer format, I would like to offer the participants to ask questions to the experts during this session. And in order to ask a question, it requires to write in the comment chat the name and put either plus or a question mark. Write your name and put either plus or question mark. Then I will ask you to switch on the camera and the microphone before asking the question to our speakers and our experts. Thanks a lot. Now the first session will start. And the discussion topics will be pandemic-proof University of the Future. Our speaker is Prof. Dr. Zohran Suleiman, Vice Chancellor, University Technology Brunei, from Brunei, Dar es Salaam. I would like to welcome you, Prof. Dr. Zohran Suleiman.
Brunei, a simple, happy country. Few places in the world can match Brunei for its peace and serenity. The whole town is decorated. Streets with arches and houses with flags and bunting.
Pada tahun 2008, ITB telah dinaik taraf menjadi Universiti Teknologi Brunei UTB, dan semenjak itu pembangunan luar biasa telah berlaku, termasuk pengembangan portfolio program akademiknya, penubuhan strategik perkongsian dengan pihak industri dan universiti serta lain-lain seumpamanya.
Diagram here, so balance it. Okay, so we need to go here.
wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending where you are in the world. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, conference delegate, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Abdul Razak Muhammad, Chair of Kemudian Institute, for encouraging me to participate in today's session of the Oxford debate with the main theme, University of the Future. I will be delivering a speech entitled A Pandemic-Proof University of the Future. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that university is a high-level educational institution in which students study for degrees and academic research is done. It is expected to produce human resource in respective areas, fulfilling demands and supply of the nation and the world. The definition of the University of the Future varies, but shares a common principle that is borderless, shaping the future and collaboration. The vision for the University of the Future is driven by competition and relevance according to D2L. The University of the Future must focus on delivering a more personalized learner journey, at the same time as giving each student the best possible educational and cultural experience. They must also bridge the widening skill gaps that exist between education and increasingly competitive work market. Today, higher education sector globally has been severely impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, and this has led to unprecedented health and socio-economic crisis. According to UNESCO, 185 countries had closed both schools and higher education institutions in April of 2020, and over 1.5 billion learners were affected by the pandemic. The International Association of Universities conducted the first global survey on the impact of COVID-19 on higher education around the world from 25th March until 17 April 2020. 109 countries responded to the survey, and it was found that over half of the institutions decided to stop their activities and close their institution completely. Amid the crisis, 91% had infrastructure in place to communicate with their staff and students. 80% believed that the pandemic would have an impact on the enrollment numbers for the new academic year, and 48% indicated support from their respective government or Ministry of Education. Others included 89% reported impact on international student mobility, 80% reported impact on research, for example, international travels and postponement of scientific conferences and community engagement activities. All the higher education institutions indicated that COVID-19 had affected their teaching and learning, but began to offer flexible learning possibilities, blended or hybrid learning, mixed synchronous and asynchronous learnings. The IAU had also started to circulate the second global survey, but no findings have been shared publicly. As of today, global cases of COVID-19 had reached over 267 million cases and almost 5.3 million deaths. Over 7.8 billion vaccines had also been administered around the world. Due to the rapid technological change and globalization, especially due to the pandemic, universities are forced to redefine their role and innovate their way of teaching and learning to stay relevant. Blending traditional and non-traditional methods will become the new norm, as well as implementing digitalization across the curricula. Future universities may also move toward a mix of degrees and providing short courses. Universities will also collaborate with industries and stakeholders to create qualifications that respond to the changing needs of the workforce. According to the third edition of the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, half of us will need to reskill in the next 5 years, as the double disruption of the economic impacts of the pandemic and increasing automation transforming jobs take hold. But the very technological disruption that is transforming jobs can also provide the key to creating them and help us learn new skills. According to the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, an estimated 120 million people will be in higher education by 2030, with 2.3 million of those studying overseas. Due to the travel restriction, University Technology Brunei, amongst other universities globally, has been facing disruption in international student mobility and the associated revenue. This has greatly affected the inbound and outbound student exchanges and admission, and therefore this has given the opportunity to take a step back, rethink, and find new ways of catering to the society. The pandemic-proof university of the future must retain an open and flexible education. Ladies and gentlemen, to remain relevant, universities need to reinvent their learning environments. During the first wave of the pandemic in Brunei Darussalam last year, University Technology Brunei had started utilizing its online educational platforms and other non-face-to-face delivery methods of teaching and learning. The pandemic had driven us to be digital literate, innovative, and creative in using technologies effectively and broaden our perspective and promote new ways of thinking. The university had to quickly adapt and make necessary adjustments according to the changes during this period, and to strategize well in ensuring that the university could continue to operate and still produce a high-quality experience for both students and staff. On the national front, the Brunei Digital Economy Master Plan 2025 was produced with intention to support the objectives of Vision 2035 for high quality of life, high educated and skilled workforce, and the dynamic and sustainable economy. It also emphasizes for Brunei to become a smart nation that has digital and future-ready society, vibrant and sustainable economy, as well as a conducive digital ecosystem. The digitalization platform not only offers to nurture talent and promote innovation, but it also enables industries to transform themselves from the physical world to a digital one, leading to the fourth industrial revolution. The IR4 also affects the roles of universities and institutions to prepare students and produce the workforce for this new industry and the student experience to match it. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, the COVID-19 outbreak surely had an impact on the university, but it also created rooms and opportunities for the university to grow its resilience when faced with a crisis. Without a swift and clear decision-making concerning the changes within the university, it would not have successfully executed the abrupt transformation to digital literacy. This became a moment to redefine the pandemic-proof university of the future. Embracing Industrial Revolution 4.0 in higher education can be done in two folds, using IR4 technology to improve university service, hence increase student experience, and to provide relevant IR4 key enabling technologies, knowledge, and skill to support the national vision. For leaders in higher education institutions to embrace IR4, they need to adapt to digital transformational leadership style. To end my speech, I would like to take this opportunity to thank organizers for your tireless efforts in making this event a success. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks a lot for the nice and informative video and speech, Prof. Dr. Zahra from Brunei Darussalam. Now we will move to the next speaker. And the discussion topic is role of teaching in the University of the Future. I would like to welcome Prof. Brahpat Rajan, Vice Chancellor of International University in India.
Could I go ahead now?
The National University Akudi Pune, carrying legacy of 36 years of education excellence, following the footsteps of Padma Shri Dr. D.Y. Patil, under the graceful guidance of Founder Vice Chancellor Professor Prabhat Ranjan a nuclear fusion scientist, a futurist. Carve the path to your future career with D.Y. Patil International University, Akurdi, Pune. A new era postgraduate and undergraduate courses, trend-setting multi-track specializations, forward-looking pedagogy, modern infrastructure, well-qualified faculty, state-of-the-art laboratories, and many more. For more details, please visit our website dypiu.ac.in or call us on +91 9071 123434.
The floor is yours, Prof. Rahbat Rajan, the Vice Chancellor of D.Y. Patil International University in India.
Thank you. I would like to thank the organizers for this event. I'm a nuclear fusion scientist and a futurist. Before I joined this university as a founder vice chancellor in 2018, I was heading India's technology think tank, and we prepared the document Technology Vision 2035. As a futurist, we had seen many things happening, and we are trying to implement many of these in the university as a founder vice chancellor. But few very interesting things I wanted to talk even before the pandemic hit us. In 2015, we had seen that direct transfer of knowledge from brain to brain is likely to happen. And in 2018, we started to see evidence of this happening. That means, in fact, an experiment that I would mention where knowledge from experienced pilots was transferred to new pilots, and that way the training process was reduced by 33%. So I personally see University of Future becoming completely different from what we have been talking about so far. Whether it's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years' time, I'm not able to tell right now. But what we normally have seen that the technologies that we expect to happen in 20 years or 30 years may happen even much before that. So the way we have been operating universities are going to completely change. And that's where is the ultimate limit that I see. Coming to near future, of course, pandemic has affected all of us. And we have to quickly respond to this situation by making sure that we continue with online education as much as possible. Of course, online education is not complete, according to me. It's because education is not simply transfer of knowledge, it's growing of the students in its full capacity, being able to connect to their peers and grow as a human being. So it has to be, in my opinion, a mixed mode of learning. But few of the technologies that are likely to influence us, one I already talked about, the brain-to-brain transfer of knowledge. Second is also that is happening is that it should be possible, just like we are able to add through a USB drive into computer knowledge in some sense or data, it may be possible to directly transfer that into our brain as well. There is some work going on, for example, to be able to make a person learn a language by very quick means. For example, you could pop a pill and you learn a new language, for example. Some work is going on this. But in addition to what we have been already used to, we are using Zoom and other means of video conferencing to teach students and interact the way we are doing today. We have the augmented reality and virtual reality has come in a very interesting way. And that is making it possible that we could actually carry out experiments in ways that we had not imagined earlier. Similarly, we have mixed reality devices that have become available. I've been experimenting with some of these myself, where actually you start to feel as if you are actually in the place where action is happening, even though you're not actually there. The third thing that I visualize is use of holographic displays. And we have been working on something which will make sure that a teacher is able to be present in the room of the student and interact with them in the language of their choice. So it's a multilingual holographic teacher, and it's customized to each child. So what I'm seeing in the future, two things happening. I think previous speaker also mentioned about this. The customized learning is going to become very, very important. And that means we need to identify each child's capabilities using, for example, one of the methods such as theory of multiple intelligence or learning styles theory, and to understand that what is the best way to teach a student or a child. And it is needed. So far, what we have been doing is that we are teaching all the students in the same way. And this happened in the industrial revolution that was taking place in Europe, where we needed to create large workforce to deal with industrial revolutions and the requirements of them. In India, for example, we used to have guru system, where the students, the disciples, would actually live with the guru and actually learn, and there's to spend their time. Personally, I have spent 6 years of my life in a somewhat similar way, not exactly in the same way. So that was a very personalized learning. The teacher used to decide how much time it has taken for the students to learn. It may be in 6 months' time, it may be 6 years' time. That was very personalized. But slowly all of that changed. And our current system, where you have a degree program of 2-year, 3-year, or 4 years program, everybody goes through that system. I'm expecting that we will now have personalized learning coming back in a big way using technology, where you could be teaching millions of students in a very personalized way. And that's where we need to first understand the students' capability through one of these methods of multiple intelligence or through learning styles. We have been working on some of these. And then second part is that how do I customize the learning? And we have seen that the whole concept of degree is likely to be going away. Micro credits have already been coming in. And even knowledge has become much more important than the degree. Some of the large companies, for example, right now although from India, but right now I'm in Silicon Valley, and we have the headquarters of Google and others here, where we find that they're not interested in degrees, they're interested in knowledge. So how do you acquire knowledge? May not be through degree, it could be through online courses, it could be through various other varieties of systems that have been developing in recent years. So personally, to summarize, what I would like to see, what I'm likely to see, I'm seeing happening is the starting from the use of online things that we have been doing today to use of augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, holography, and then brain-to-brain transfer of knowledge is likely to grow more and more. And the whole structure of university that we have been having for last hundreds of years is likely to change completely. And we have to prepare ourselves for that. So I'll stop at this point, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Brahbhat, for this informative and nice speech. Thanks a lot. I would like to announce a 15-minute question and answer session. I'm going to offer participants to ask questions to the experts during this session. To ask a question, it requires to write in the comment chat the name and put either plus or question mark, as I said earlier, and then I will call on the participants, and a participant has to switch on to camera and microphone before asking a question, and our respected experts and the profs are with us and are ready to answer questions from participants. Any questions from participants? Yes, I can see Gori Sankar having a questions. Are you with us, Gori? Go ahead, please.
I am audible. Hello.
Yes, yes, Gori, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. It's my second year that I am fortunate enough to the Oxford Union and also to you for giving me this opportunity to connect with the esteemed colleagues out there. And I was learning a lot. And particularly, I have a question to Professor Prabhat Ranjan, sir. Sir, you just delivered a very succinct point of view in favor of technology-driven courses, sir. But sir, I have a question particularly from the point of view of the differential position of different countries with regard to the technological connectivity. Since the very notion of digital divide is there, and also the given the different regions of one country or different regions of the globe are differentially accustomed to this kind of infrastructural development or economic scenario. So, sir, don't you think that more we adopt this kind of technology-driven modernization, will there be a kind of a reaction from within the educational sector that some sector will be more getting more backward and some sector will be getting more modernized and advanced, and in that way the net reaction, the net outcome will be a kind of widening of the scenario in terms of inequality, in terms of the knowledge creation, promotion and application. So this is my the basic query, whether if we adopt the technology more and more, and if we go in that direction, that is fine also, but that will given the inequality that exists, whether that will actually exacerbate and aggravate the scenario of learning and teaching and learning, and the net outcome will be differential for the young learners who are actually at the receiving end, particularly from the point of view of the third world countries and the developing countries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Gauri Sankar Nag. Technology does not see any differences, and as when we're preparing technology vision 2035 for India, what we are seeing, two things we are seeing. One is that technology is happening much faster than we expect, and second is technology diffusion is also much faster. An example is our cell phones. For example, I visited my village about maybe 12 years ago, and I saw even students, small, poor families, they had a cell phone with them because this was their way to connecting to life in various ways, being able to sell things, being able to connect to family members and so on. So the so-called digital divide, I do not expect that that's going to be very large. I did my PhD in US and I went back to India. In early stages, 35 years ago, that was 1996, we had a lot of gap in knowledge between, say, US and India. We had to travel to different conferences or to labs to learn new things. But today, due to internet, all that has disappeared. I do not need to travel to a particular lab to see what's happening. So I'm expecting that technology is going to be a leveler rather than creating divide. And it's going to happen much faster. It's not for me and you to decide. If a technology happens, people will adapt it. And if they see that it's useful, all of us adapt. There may be slight delay. Somebody will do it faster, somebody will slow it. But that technology moves much faster than we expect. So I'm expecting that the concerns that you have probably would not be there, and all of us would gain from that. And so let's welcome technology. I think we cannot stop technology from coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. And now I would like to call Dr. Isa Simakola to ask his question.
Thank you very much, and Good morning, those ones in UK. Good afternoon, those ones in Uganda. I'm Dr. Semakola Isa from Uganda, Equatorial University of Science and Technology. As we discuss the university for the future, my mind still ponders on if these online engagings can help in courses of art basis of arts, but for example, courses of science basis which require practical. Are we having any ideas of how, in case the pandemic is there, we have a lockdown, how are we going to help the science-based students, for example, medicine, engineering, that need the practical skills? Are we thinking of different modalities of how to engage and help them? In Uganda, the scenario was other students finished and graduated, but the medical students, the engineering students, because there was no way they could do the practicals directly, they lagged behind. Thank you very much.
Am I supposed to respond?
Yes, Prof. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So actually, what you're talking about has been in the current scenario where we're faced with pandemic, and suddenly we have to respond to that. We were not prepared for that. But when we are talking university of the future, actually we will be much better prepared. And so the hands-on experience that you have been talking about, of course, is very essential. We've already seen that in many areas, especially which requires use of computers, we do not actually need to be physically present in the class. And we have seen that, in fact, some of the programs we've been running to skill working employees, we are finding that they're not willing to come physically to the campus even before the pandemic hit us, because a lot of training that can be done online. And what I'm expecting to see is that with the use of newer technologies, it is going to become even easier to carry out hands-on experience through your home. So we have introduced concept. For example, one concept I've introduced is called lab in bag concept. So for example, electronics related experiments can be done in home itself. So it is possible today to use both physical devices, such as the concept I talked about, lab in bag, or concepts like augmented reality, virtual reality, holography, or mixed realities, to actually be able to carry out experiments and gain that hands-on experience that we so far have been expecting only that a student would come to physically to the campus and do it. So it's going to be, preparation will have to be done. And as I said, that current situation is not a good example. If we are better prepared, we can give much better experience than we have been able to do, because we were not prepared for this. But in coming years, I expect that these technologies will penetrate to us and we will be able to perform much better. So the concerns, of course, I'm not saying that physical classes will completely go away, physical campus will completely go away, but the percentage of online content, online experience is going to grow more and more as we go along. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Prof. And now I would like to call Dr. Rajkumar Modak to ask his question, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. Actually, my question is to the first speaker. She has mentioned, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Yes, the question is for Prof. Zohra. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. She has mentioned about flexible education. I just want to clarification about this point, sir.
Yes, Prof. Zohra, can you answer the question, please?
Thank you very much for the question. Flexible mean that you can either have blended, meaning that you can have a certain percentage of face-to-face learning, as well as you can have online learning. So that's what we have been doing. So there's flexibility in it. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a blended learning, yeah.
Yes. Professor Al-Haditi, can I also add on the question just now? Can I also answer with regard to the question just now on practical? What we do at University Technology Brunei, we do not have practical, but rather we replace it by coursework assessment. So in a way that practical is also replacing. Of course, it's not as good as hands-on practical, but we put it in such a way that it turns into coursework that also have the module intended learning requirement, so that the student will be able to understand whatever practical questions that's being asked towards the end of their study. So that's what we are doing at University Technology Brunei. Not so much of the student coming to the campus to actually follow practical. Or we can just post a YouTube, for example, just to ask for certain experimental work. We do that as well. So it's a very innovative in a way. Thank you.
It is. Yeah, I agree with you. It's very innovative, and also it will improve the online learning skills for the students, and also when there is, pandemics and so on. That's very nice technique. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, then I think we will move to the next discussion topic through the session of pandemic outcomes to take forward for higher education. And the discussion topic will be the outcomes of the pandemic crisis for higher education. How will knowledge and experience gained during the pandemic help shape the future delivery of higher education? And our next speaker is Prof. Eng Marian, the president of the University of Security Management in Slovakia. We will start with the video. I would like to welcome Prof. Eng Marian to give his presentation, please.
Vážené kolegyne, vážení kolegovia,
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen,
v mene Univerzity Security Management Slovakia vás všetkých pozdravujeme a prajeme všetko dobré. Pripájame sa k riešeniu problémov pandémia s dosahom na univerzitné vzdelávanie. Naše výskumy, ale hlavne prax ukázali, že aj tento problém sa dá riešiť, pričom do popredia vystupujú niektoré faktory, ktoré môžeme pomenovať takto.
in behalf of the University of Security Management in Košice, Slovakia, we kindly greet all of you and we join to the solution of pandemic impact to the higher education. Our research and especially practice show that this problem is able to be resolved, and there are some important aspects which stay forefront as following.
Na Slovensku máme 3 druhy univerzít, a to verejnoprávne s dotáciou od štátu, štátne, ktoré financujú jednotlivé rezorty, a súkromné vysoké školy, ktoré sú na trhu zhruba 20 rokov.
There are 3 types of universities here in Slovakia. Public, which are dotated by the state, state universities financed by particular powerhouse ministry, and private. Our university is private and it has been operating for 20 years already in the field of educational institutions.
Naša univerzita je súkromná, pričom na univerzitnom trhu pôsobíme už 20 rokov. Celú literatúru a materiály pre študentov máme plne digitalizované, čo sa nedá povedať o verejnoprávnych univerzitách.
Our publications and study materials are fully digitized, while while the same cannot be said about the public universities. I want to say one more time, our university is private. It has been operating for 20 years already in the field of educational institutions.
Z našej praxe a výskumu vyplýva, a teda to aj odporúčame, že pre vzdelávanie budúcnosti by mal byť univerzitné vzdelanie rozdelené 50% prezenčná výuka, 50% dištančná.
Our practice shows a further recommendation: 50% of present education and 50% of distant education.
Naša univerzita využíva vnútorný systém kvality už 12 rokov, čo nám umožnilo bez problémov zvládnuť všetky 3 vlny pandémie.
Our university has been using its internal system of quality for 12 years already, what facilitated us to handle all 3 pandemic waves here.
Dňa 11.12.2021 sme boli ocenení Európskou spoločnosťou pre výskum kvality. Ocenenie bolo odovzdané v Dubaji, o tom nám povie viac náš priamy účastník a splnomocnenec pre kvalitu, pán profesor Dufinec.
We were awarded by European Society for Quality Research on the 11th of December 2021, and we received this award in Dubai. Professor Dufinec took on this reward, and he will say you more about it now.
Well, we received the European Society for Quality Research Award for 2021 for the research result achieved in the quality management system in Dubai last weekend. Our university has been systematically striving for a high standard of quality since 2011. In 2012, we obtained the Quality Austria certificate for the implementation of ISO 9001 for the first time, which we defended every year through foreign audits. Earlier this year, we defended the result of our 10 years of work by recertification by the international certification company G-Cert-I from South Korea, accredited in the USA. We are now facing a new challenge in the world, working and creating in pandemic conditions. What I would like to say in this is the time to figure out who we want to be in the new virtual economy caused by pandemic, who we want to show up and serve students, and how we are going to make that part of our living in the same way from start to scale. However, this has already been said by our President and Rector, Professor Mesaros. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much for this nice and informative presentation. Now we will move to the next discussion topic, defining a new educational model and the challenges of its information. We will start with a video recording, then we will call Dr. Lawrence, Vice Chancellor of Victoria University of Uganda, to give his speech after the videotape. Thank you.
In the beginning, a university was typically an ivory tower, a place reserved for a privileged few, the custodians of knowledge, and their lucky learners, often from the upper classes of society. Today, we present to you a university whose classroom is infinite, enabling students to study anywhere at any time. All the 7.9 billion people in the world can be our students and our teachers. We do this because we believe universities should provide the platform for authentic learning to manifest. Whether you're figuring out how you will juggle life and school, focused on getting a raise or promotion, starting a new career, or looking to take the next step in your education, Victoria University offers flexible and affordable degree programs that provide the education and credentials you need to reach your goals. Because the education system needs a radical change, our students study as they work to gain experience, making us Uganda's first experiential learning education-driven university. Because technology will soon dominate the labor market, the metaverse will become our new alternative universe. Our students are to be taught and assessed with the help of virtual reality and augmented reality technology. We are happy to be the first university approved to host the Eon Reality Center in Uganda. Because our curriculum focuses on both today and future's workforce need, Victoria University's graduates have a 96% employer satisfaction rate. Because education is as essential as the air we breathe, we provide our learners with an opportunity to study from anywhere at any time through our state-of-the-art online learning management system. Because we acknowledge your busy lifestyle, we connect you to program mentors who understand your situation and check in regularly to help you progress. Because we understand the financial realities that have often hindered education and progress, we offer free educational data and free educational textbook to all our students. Because the future is borderless, our students come from more than 50 countries, as far as Kuwait, Haiti, Oman, Afghanistan, United States of America, Comoros, Nigeria, Swaziland, Qatar. With great delight, welcome to Victoria University.
I would like to welcome Dr. Lawrence, Vice Chancellor of Victoria University in Uganda, to give his speech.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Rami. We really appreciate the opportunity to be sharing with the scholars from the diverse scholars that we have here from various destinations around the world. So we say greetings from Victoria University to everyone, and to the organizers of this event. We salute you all, and we are very, very grateful. So on behalf of my team, I want to, my team and myself, I want to share with you our story. And our story is about trying to future-proof higher education, but using our very university, Victoria University, as a case study. Of course, it is not news to all the scholars, education leaders and administrators on this platform that I'm talking to. It's not news that the pandemic has beaten us and beaten us bad, all of us. But every trouble humanity faces, there is always a silver lining that one can pick up and moves along with that. So we have also benefited from the ability to not only think out of the box, but we have decided to put the box aside and we chose to think without a box and to ensure that if a pandemic ever happens in this country or around the world, learning for students can continue. Teaching will continue. And even learning itself should be also defined, like what is learning? And of course, I'm not going to define it for colleagues wherever they are situated, but contextualizing it to what is happening in Uganda or East Africa, the learning we are exposed to. If I have seen a colleague from Uganda, a fellow scholar here from Uganda, he can really tell the same story, that the learning that we know today is one that was left behind by the colonizers of most countries of Africa, much as these countries have since moved on and tried to implement meaningful learning for nationals and students of those respective countries. We are still struggling to evolve, to not only transform, not only reform, but rather transform the way we do it, the way we educate. So, but now for us at Victoria University, we have focused on ensuring that it's time to embed technology into everything we do at the university, because that's where we see the answer to trying to future-proof education from every catastrophe that may befall us or anything else. And when you see where we are headed as a people around the world, there is no way we will ever walk back and run away from technology or technology going back. Usually there is something I tell fellow scholars that if you went back, you teleported to say 1800, 1900, and you had the powers to resurrect a few professionals of that time. For example, a doctor, an architect, or an engineer. If you brought them back to life today, they would be really faced with two options. One option would be to pack up and go back where they came from, or go back to school and study from ground zero upwards. But there is one other interesting professional. If you brought them back from 1800 or 1900 today, the educators, we the teachers, if you brought that person back to 2021, they would actually continue from where they stopped. In other words, our sector, our field is not changing faster enough to ensure that our students get to benefit from everything we are doing. I come from a country that invests in a country where every year we have about over 100,000 graduates, but the economy can only create about 20,000 jobs. So in 10 years, you have about 1 million young people that have nothing to do. In other words, our education, if it doesn't change, before it even gets affected by the pandemic, we are destroying the country's human capital, for example. And this goes for most African economies. So therefore, time is now, as educators, as scholars, on platforms like this, to get together, to share promising practices. What have you done? What do you plan to do that can actually transform education as we know it? So this is not something that I can do on my own or just my university. We can just do something small. As Victoria University, I told you, we have embedded technology literally in everything we are trying to do. And we have also made sure that the education we provide has a link to the day-to-day work, that our students, despite attending class or classes, they are supposed to also go to work somewhere, like do a real world job, do a real job in a real company. And that's part of the curriculum. And teachers are supposed to follow them up and assess them in that very, very regard. So therefore, like we have embraced what other countries would call COPs. Other countries would call them work integrated learning. That is infused within what we do, how we teach. And our goal is that by the time a student leaves our university, when they graduate, then we are able to say that at least they have 2 to 3 years of experience, despite the credential they move away with from our university. Now, someone is Sanka is inquiring, what do I really mean when I talk about technology? So when I talk about technology, I am not selfish with information. I'll definitely share with you what I mean when I say we have embraced technology to guide everything we do. There are out there are technologies, for example, like augmented reality, like virtual reality, that would actually help to impart practical experience to the student without actually stepping their feet in any work setting. But by embracing virtual reality, augmented reality, you are able to give these students an experience in the classroom or in the comfort of their home. Because for us, what we believe is that learning needs to happen anywhere, anytime. The learning of that is supposed to be confined in the ivory towers or in a four-cornered room called a classroom, it has turned out not to be something that works for so many students. So during the pandemic, for example, we deliberately chose to run away from the generic open source or open access learning management systems, and we chose to develop a custom system that takes into consideration the student, the profile of the student that we have from the various countries where they come from, and be able to embed in the languages, for example, they speak, ability to demonstrate what you're doing as a teacher, even if it was, say, you're deriving a mathematical equation or something. That technology should be able to embrace all that. And the student doesn't have to come to my classroom, but it should be seamless and interactive enough to find this student where they are, and they get the experience as if or as though they were in the same classroom with me. So with as I speak right now, we have ended up becoming the first university in Uganda to be approved to host the EON XR Center that of course specializes in augmented technology and virtual reality technology in this country. And that center, of course, is geared towards giving our students an experience that they really need when they graduate to leave and go to the workplace. So I am also cognizant of the fact that what we do and what we provide in terms of technology usability may be varying, diverse to different countries and different scholars. But I think my call and what I would love to learn from colleagues is what are those promising practices? What are the best technologies that have really worked for them? And that we can also study, review, and embrace to make learning really possible for every child, every student, every learner, regardless of boundaries or borders, but from everywhere they are situated around the world. So the organizer, thank you very much. I want to stop there, and I will entertain a few some questions as they come in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lawrence, for sharing your experience in Victoria University in Uganda. And now I would like to announce a 15-minute question and answer session, actually 10 minutes. And again, I will ask the participant to put their name with plus or question mark to ask his question. From the chat, I can see that Dr. Guri got an argument here, not a question, and I have to open the floor for him, and I wish he will be specific to the point. Yeah, go ahead, Doctor. Dr. Gori Sankar, are you with us? Anybody got a question? Okay, if there are no questions, we will move to the break. We will have a 10 minutes break. Then we will come back and continue with the rest of our speakers.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, there's someone with a question in messages.
I think Dr. Guri mentioned something. Then he wrote, thanks a lot. Okay, go ahead. Who've got a question? Either to Prof. Inj Marian or Dr. Lawrence. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I am Aishi from University of Technology Brunei. I have actually typed my questions in the chat box, but I can say. So thank you, Dr. Lawrence, for the insight just now. My question is, I think it's fair to acknowledge the use of technology in today's education and everyday work, right? So from your perspective, Dr. Lawrence, how can we actually cope with techno stress that is usually associated with the use of technologies, especially students and scholars? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. That's an amazing question, and which is faced by every teacher, every scholar who is trying to implement or use technology in one way or the other. But now, certainly, everything that we desire in life, it is going to come with some noise and stress. Now, the question is, how do we navigate and manage that kind of, or de-escalate that kind of stress? So, because the facts are very clear, that technology is here to stay. If you look around, it's very hard to find an 18-year-old, like in an urban setting, 18-year-old and above, who does not move with a gadget, one or two. In my country, where I am right now, it is not uncommon to find a person moving with 3 mobile phones, right? Just because they are trying to leverage the cheaper providers of internet, for example. But what we do here, for example, is how do we bring in students and build these technological kind of initiatives or innovations into the curriculum, And then we define how do you get to use. Of course, you can have a policy. It depends on where you are situated and the practice from wherever you're situated. But how do you embed technology? And it is known from the word go, from the regulator to the Senate, for example, of the university itself, and then to the teachers themselves, that the curriculum that I have to implement or run. These are my expectations, and the students also have to expect that. So now it ceases to become something stressful, but rather it becomes something that is a norm that is embraced within the day-to-day education that we provide. And now the assessment now for our situation here now, so assessment now becomes very, very important. How do you craft different assessment mechanisms or types, summative or formative, to make sure that your students are engaged, the devices they have, the ERPs that they have, the learning management system that we use, that are actually used specifically to benefit them to overcome or perform excellently the assignments they have to undertake. So I see this overcoming this stress by going back to basics, embedding technology into the curriculum itself, and then bring it to in the classroom, but at the same time use existing devices of different students to benefit their learning. Of course, I'm not the expert in the field. I know so many scholars here colleagues can have so many answers to that. So, but that's my submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. Very much appreciated.
Thank you very much, everybody. Is there any more questions? I can't see any more questions in the chat room. So now we will have exactly a 10 minutes break, and we will be back after 10 minutes.
Can I get some questions, sir?
Yes, Guri.
Yes. Sorry, sir. I was just out of the room for a few minutes. Sir, I have some questions, sir, because the lecture delivered by Dr. Lawrence actually motivated me to frame some new ideas. Sir, actually, he was speaking of how to use technology to get rid of the pandemic kind of situation and to overcome the difficulty in higher education delivery system. But sir, I had some question which I want to actually share on this platform, and I would be benefited if Dr. Lawrence had some matured kind of reflection vis-a-vis kind of my query, because everything cannot be answered instantly, but at the same time I would like our dignitaries, the honorable speaker, Dr. Lawrence, to respond to this kind of understanding that I have right now going to share on this platform. Sir, I thought that technology actually is a novel kind of thing that actually help us to navigate forward whenever such sudden unprecedented shock emerges from within the system that we never anticipate or never anticipated in the past. So what results or what happened is a kind of catastrophic dislocation, and again the system tries to fight back with a kind of resilience, with innovation in terms of technology and ICT embedded education. That is the topic of our discussion today. So, but sir, I think that technology needs to be defined in a differential way, because technology is not a standalone topic, because technology is only a one subsystem of the total system of the society or culture. As if we think together, all these elements create a gestalt kind of a whole. So technology cannot be isolated, or technology cannot be taken separately to kind of as a instrument to address this kind of situation that we are facing. Because I think that technology, if we think in terms of Western centric notion of ICT, that is still in our country, in India, whatever, there may be a different difference of opinion, but still, I think that that technology is still an upper class and middle class kind of phenomenon in our country. And it is not a kind of a problem. Pandemic is nevertheless a problem, endemic system endangering problem, but still, if you go to the rural scenario, people are much more, what I say, that they are much more reckless, they are much more nature friendly, they are much more, they have the power to adapt to the situation with their own natural kind of knowledge, which acts as a survival strategy or technology, if you say so. So from that angle, I think that technology needs to be redefined, and only then we can navigate properly, and we can think properly how to navigate in future kind of shock that the system might create, because it is not a kind of traditional blending traditional learning with ICT based learning, but also we have to take note of the ground level reality and whatever indigenous knowledge lying over there. If we can take advantage of that situation, and if we can think of the more inclusive kind of education, because education cannot be successful until and unless it reaches to the door of everybody, and everybody means as much as possible, because everybody cannot be the 100%, because that is an utopian idea, but still, if we think technology in an exclusive manner, I think it will not lead to an inclusion, rather it will lead to an exclusion. So in a broader sense, if we think of indigenous technology, indigenous knowledge, indigenization of our system, and only then we can think of restructuring our education system, only then I think that a kind of right way to save our country, not only the country, but also the universal society of humankind can be thought of. That is my humble submission, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dr. Guri. This is one of the aims of the debate, to have different points of views from different countries and from different experiences. Do you have any point, Dr. Lawrence, please?
Yes, I have. Thank you very much. And Dr. Guri, I can't thank you enough. You have articulated it very, very well. You're right. We need, when we talk about technology, we need to contextualize it, certainly. And it needs to be rooted to the various contexts where someone is situated. And you're very, very right still. When we talk about technology, how do we have it fit into our cultures, for example? How does it fit in the case of Africa, for example? We have what we call African indigenous education, like, for example. So how was learning like for my great-grandparents, right? And which kind of, like, those cultural traits, that kind of education, we still live with it. So how do we bring technology to enhance what we are doing? And when we talk about technology, you're right again. It's the context or the scope should not really be looked at or defined to be, for example, the learning management system we talk about, or artificial intelligence, or machine learning, or Internet of Things, and now the metaverse. No, technology is some even knowledge that someone is going to come up with in my very community where I live on a daily basis, but with the intent of solving a problem. So when I talk about technology, that is the bigger blanket, the bigger umbrella I am talking about. But yeah, but the important thing is we need this technology to deconstruct the kind of pedagogy as it used to be, to make education work for us, to future-proof education. Such that now education becomes part of people, not for a selective few that are deemed to be very, very successful and are able to use the sophisticated technologies we know of, but rather someone can use indigenous technology that they can access and be able to solve a particular problem. That's the kind of technology I'm rooting for, hopeful that we are able to embed it in the teaching and learning that we do on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the elaboration and the answer which satisfied Dr. Gori and the participants. I can't see any other questions, so I think we will move to the 10 minutes break. We will be back at 1:35 UK time. We'll be back at, we will be back at 12:35 UK time. 10 minutes exactly. Thank you very much, everybody. I would like to welcome everybody back at the end of our 10 minutes break. We will move to the next session, the pandemic outcomes to take forward for higher education. And the next discussion topic will be, is the pandemic increasing inequalities in educational opportunities? And I will call our next speaker after the video of Liaquat University in Pakistan. We'll start with the video. And after the video, I will call Prof. Dr. Ikram Donajwan, Vice Chancellor, Liaquat University of Medicine and Health Science in Jamshoro, Pakistan.
Liaquat University of Medical and Health Sciences is the first seat of medical learning in Sindh, situated about 150 kilometers north to Karachi and 15 kilometers from the city of Hyderabad. During its journey for more than 50 years, it made tremendous contributions in medical education, research and healthcare. The college also started postgraduate courses in various disciplines of medical sciences. It was upgraded as Postgraduate Institute in 1989. In almost all disciplines of medicine, surgery, dentistry, and allied sciences, it is worth mentioning that General Medical Council of the UK granted recognition of its MBBS degree immediately after its first batch passed out in 1956. It attained the status of medical university in 2001 by an ordinance from Sindh Assembly. It offers postgraduate courses including PhD in more than 100 disciplines. Liaquat University of Medical and Health Sciences receives students from all over the country as well as foreign countries and has over 30 affiliated colleges. It provides boarding facilities to over 3,000 students, both male and female. The vision and mission of LUMS clearly outlines the roadmap that this university has set for itself. There is an Arabic code that says, "He who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything." LUMS in that sense is cultivating and constantly nurturing hope in the region as well as the country. In the scientific world, the only thing that is permanent is change.
Now I would like to welcome Prof. Dr. Ikram to give his speech. Prof. Dr. Ikram, are you with us?
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to all. And thanks for such kind of introduction and invitation to talk at such august platform of Oxford Union. Today, I will be talking about the inequalities in educational platform in the light of COVID-19 pandemic. Before I proceed for the topic, I wanted to show strategic location of Pakistan to the international audience. We are situated in the South Asian region, and here is our university. As you have seen in the video, Liaquat University is one of the oldest university in the Pakistan, and it's the first public sector university of the Pakistan. As any other country in the world, our education system has 3 stages. School education, which is the primary to middle education, and college education, and third is the university education, that is the higher education. The inequalities in the educational system remained a global issue long before the pandemic, resulting in the slogan of education for all in many countries of the world. And the government and other non-profit organizations put all efforts to bring children to the educational institute, and they succeed to some extent. COVID-19 pandemic has made the situation even worse by locking students from all educational levels and backgrounds at homes. This has raised many concerns. According to the UNESCO report, 1.4 billion students were put of their education institution in 2020. This has badly affected school education, but the colleges and universities were not affected. When the pandemic started, there was panic all around and the world was shut down, including educational institutions. Gradually, they started online education. Then a bit side of relief, institutions were opened. This reopening has raised many concerns. The conventional physical education did not appear to be the same. The pandemic badly affected socio-economic conditions of the countries, and individuals with high rates of jobless. Inflation has further worsened the situation. The poor becomes extremely poor, but the educational institute continue to charge fees. In addition, shifting to online education put more burden on parents, given that a considerable number of the educational institutions, including private sector, could not manage to have a robust online education, compelled parents to consider dropout. This was particularly observed in private sector institutions. This is a clear demarcation in rural and urban dwellers. The rural and urban educational system and opportunities were different. When urban students get more opportunities of better education, while rural students remain deprived. The pandemic closure of the institutions introduced and promoted virtual education with use of high technology gadgets, which were not available to the great majority of the rural students. From educational institutions point of view, if we look at the institutions, then government sector institutions receive grants from government, while private sectors depends on the fees earned. Decline in income and further burden of virtual education make it worse for all our newly established universities. On the other hand, those students who were privileged to avail those facilities were exposed to a whole new world of global academic village in its true sense. They were at liberty of learning whenever, whatever, and from whenever resources they wanted. In addition, they were also privileged to get their concept clarified by the world-class experts in the field through web-based resources. They were also able to get more practical knowledge as compared to conventional physical education of a limited duration of time. It is now difficult to say that physical education will back to pre-COVID-19 situation in its true and original shape, since the students were exposed to a wide range of resources to gain such more knowledge than lectures or demonstration are part of physical education. Thus, it will be difficult to convince them to have optimum attendance. It appears that institutions and countries mainly rely on international students as their major source of earning will be under question mark, as the charm of getting education at world-class institutions has declined because they have been able to learn from world-renowned professors without any hassle, just at a single click. Thus, gaining knowledge has become more important than a paper of degree itself. So it is too early to predict fate of universities depending on international students. From our initial audits, we have observed that virtual education was useful for those with available facilities, financially affordable, whose were keen to learn, but those students who were academically weak or financially non-affordable were badly hit. Similarly, private sector universities were badly hit. The students will not be able to similar chance where they were COVID-19, before COVID-19. Therefore, it is at most important to revise and revisit our university educational system. Keeping in view of the future requirement of the global community and students teaching training should be considered as the urgent agenda for most universities, especially from developing countries. For teachers training, again, globalization can be utilized to bring strong universities closer to weaker universities by sharing faculty or providing trainings. New programs may be designed with joint efforts of the neighboring universities. Sharing of the infrastructure, especially laboratories, would be a great support. Starting of joint international programs with mixed model of teaching, that is mix of virtual and physical education, can potentially prove to be the breakthrough in the university education system. I wish all of you Happy New Year. I hope to attend Oxford Union even physically next year, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much, dear Prof. Now I would like to offer the participant to ask questions, a Q&A session. And again, I would like the participant to put his name with a plus or question mark to give him the mic for questions. Any comments, any questions, please? Okay, if there are no questions or comments, we will move to our next discussion topic. It's going to be the contemporary strategies of students' assessment for e-learning, and I'm going to be the speaker. So once they give me the screen share, I will share my slides with you. Okay. So as I said, I'll be talking about contemporary strategies of student assessment for e-learning. And I will mention later the reason for choosing this subject specifically. Everybody knows that there are many ways to assess our students, not just the exams as we traditionally do. So one of the assessment ways is the oral interview, which is very important, one-to-one interview, and it should be according to a specific schedule for private discussion, and it's preferably to be a structured one with asking a specific question from the tutor to his student, and it should be under complete transparency, and the student shall feel he will not be penalized if he mentions any negative points or any deficiencies in the program. The other way to assess the students are the class presentation, which is very important those days. And you can assess a different aspect. And it will encourage the student also to speak in front of the class and also know how to research the information. And for the grades, it should be based on both the content and the presentation. And usually this is what I do, because these presentations, sometimes we held it individually as an individual project for the student, or maybe as a group project where a group of students share the information. So the mark should be divided about the content, and the other part is for the presentation, because as an academics, we know that different students and different people have different abilities and various communication skills as well. The other way is the role play, which is very important in some studies, especially if we are talking about the marketing studies, the procurement, the sales, and so on. And it's an exercise with either a group or an interviewer. And it will be to determine how suitable the candidate is for a particular role, as I mentioned earlier. Also, it will test how the candidates might approach difficult situations. I'm mentioning these ways just briefly, but in real life, it needs a lot of elaboration, a lot of information, and we do some training courses to educators and learn them how to use these different assessment tools. But here I'm just highlighting the main point. Another way is the close exam or the deletion or occlusion test. It has many names, and it's completely different from filling in the blanks, because people usually mix between the two types of the tests. And the words in this type of exams or tests will be deleted from a text according to a word count formula or various other criteria. There are different 4 criteria to achieve this sort of exams, but the time is not enough to explain it all. And the student who insert the words to complete and construct the meaning from the text. And thus, the measure of this exam is to measure the reading comprehension and not just a readability score. And this is a main difference. The writing sample is also very important, and it does assess the students' proficiency in report writing and give them an adequate amount of time to write. And you as an instructor then get an accurate look at their grammatical and writing proficiency, and preferably it will be followed up with some mini lessons. And this is what I do personally on common grammatical pitfalls that the class exhibited. This is very important, because sometimes once you go through this writing sample, you will see repeated and you will see some common pitfalls, and you have to mention it through a following mini class. The portfolio also is an important way to assist the student, which is a collection of work samples that cover several aspects of the assignments your students have completed, and can be an examination of student selected samples. It can address and support progress toward achieving academic goals and include student efficacy. And it's very important. It gives the student a source of feeling of pride of what he achieved, because usually he will choose in the portfolio the best parts of the course and his best achievements. The essay is also important, and it's a short formal piece of writing dealing with a single subject, and it shall use selected research evidence in order to persuade the reader. And in general, the essay had 3 parts: introduction, body, and conclusion. And also here the focus will be on analyzing or evaluating the theories or the past research being done by other people. And usually and preferably if it include applying the theory into practice. Also here the people mix between the essay and the report. The report is different because the report usually contains tables, charts, diagrams, flow chart, block diagrams, and so on, while the essays do not usually include tables and charts or diagrams. That's why I mentioned the main 3 parts of the essay. Also, those days, because the software packages and the exam makers and the quick makers software are available, we can do online quizzes, because you don't have to spend as much of your class time assessing the students. You can do that online. In your lecture, you have to give the conclusion, the main ideas, what we call the mini lessons or the nuggets of the knowledge. You don't have to waste time making quizzes and making exam during the lecture, but you have to switch to the online quizzes and test. And with the extensive collection of online resources for students, and you can ask the student to print out their final scores or email it to you, and all these facilities are available with the software packages and most of the learning management systems in the universities, and the students will still get feedback from you as well. And another way is the multiple choices. You have to keep some pointers in your mind when you're writing the multiple choices questions. You have to avoid the complex multiple choices item. Also keep the specific content of items independent of one another, and try to keep all the answers choices around the same length. And also you can include the options, all of the above or none of the above, if you want to make the questions a little bit harder, because you need an experience to make a very good multiple choices and the true and false questions, because you don't have to give tricky questions in the true and false part, and also have your students correct the questions that they say are false if you want to make it harder, and if you want to know who's making lucky guesses and who's understanding what he's answering, and can clarify the reason for his choosing false answers. And you can assign 1 point to each answer and another point to each correction on the test. And this way you will make the test much more realistic and productive. The matching questions also another way to assist the student, where there are 2 adjacent lists of related words, phrases, pictures, or symbols, and each item in one list is paired with at least 1 item in the other list. And matching may be considered to be a variant of the multiple choice in which more than 1 choice is correct, and you can give much more choices and higher number of choices than the questions itself. Also, again, if you want to make it more harder and prevent students from making guesses, the fill in blank is another way also. It seems similar to closed exam, as I mentioned earlier, but in fact, they are different. It is properly based to provide a word bank in either cases, and you may choose to supply more words than will be necessary to fill in the blanks to make the test more challenging, like what we did with the multiple choices and with the matching questions. And this will force your student to choose the best answers rather than matching 10 words with 10 blanks. So it will be much more professional. And the short answer exam is also very nice when you ask the students to give a concise yet thorough written answers and to a question, and usually using complete sentences, and test the ability of the student to integrate what you have learned in the lectures, readings, and discussions, and to apply that knowledge in practice. In addition to that, you can still have the first exam, the second exam, and some courses we have midterm exam in addition to the final exam. But as I said, why I mentioned these ways, because it's very important, because we are moving from the information age to the skill age. And we are in the middle of the fourth industrial revolution, Industry 4, and we will move to Industry 5 around 2030, which is less than 10 years from now. And our graduates need a lot of skills, what we call the 21st century skills, and only relying completely on the exams will not equip our graduates with such required skills for the coming and the future job markets. That's why those days the experts call for lowering the final exam percentage, and they suggest it shall be around 5%, and in the most, it shouldn't be more than 20%, and 80% of the grades and the marks of the students goes to other way of the assessment and to other types of skills. Also, we can use the project-based learning issues, the individual project, the group project, and so on. This way, we can guarantee that we will equip the graduate with what is needed for the future job market. And usually I finish my speech with a quote, and the quote for today is for Professor Eraldo Banovac. He's an energy expert and a university professor. He said, a great professor considers his students' success a reflection of his own. He will not remain indifferent in the case of continuous poor exam result, but will do as much as possible to overcome such a situation. Thanks a lot for listening, and I will move to the next part of our discussion topic, and I would like to call Dr. Haider Munir Nimr. He's the Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Dentistry from the University of Mashriq in Baghdad, Iraq, and I think he will start with a video about their experience during the pandemic. Then it will be followed by a speech. So the floor is yours, dear Dr. Haider, and they will let you share your video and the screen.
Thank you, Dr. Rami. Have you listened to me?
Yes, yes.
My voice is clear?
Yeah, the voice
Yes.
is clear and you can start,
Okay.
Dr. Haider.
Thank you, Doctor. On behalf of Mashhad University, I welcome you all from Baghdad, Dar es Salaam, and I will be with you in the next 10 minutes with my lecture titled Building Confidence Against All Odds. May I start with this short video?
Dr. Haider, I think the audience can't listen to the voice. Can you put the volume on, please?
Yes, the volume on, Doctor. I think I use my code maybe effect. The video now. You hear me, Doctor?
Yes, I can hear you. Try again the video, please.
Okay.
East Iraq, the number of infected and deaths is rising every day.
Okay.
Quarantine has been imposed. All social activities stopped, and education was no exception. Universities and scientific institutions around the world were closed. Urgently, the world moved toward the distance learning. This led to great confusions in the educational process. The situation did not improve. Despair began to creep into the souls. Amidst all these challenges, Al-Mashraq was born, far away from pollution and overcrowding, on the area over than 100,000 square meters. This outstanding edifice was built with safe, advanced halls that accommodate more than 150 students and laboratories occupied with highest levels to spur the continuous development around the world. Because universities are a scientific edifice, Al-Mashraq University attracts in academic professionals and distinguished professors with high experience and expertise, and also gave a space for young people to create a harmonious blend between experience and impulses. Al-Mashraq chose to make a strong start by opening 5 colleges at once: College of Dentistry, College of Pharmacy, College of Medical Science, College of Law, and College of Administrative Sciences. Since the world has become a small village, and in an attempt to take the lead, Mashraq University has established a scientific agreement with Missouri State University, and one of the most prominent terms of the agreement is the launch of training and professional cooperation with IBDL Group for learning in the Middle East and Africa. It has also established scientific agreements with public universities inside Iraq. Students are not considered as a commodity or a number. rather looked at a project of community leaders and an example to follow. This is not an easy task and need a great effort to bring attention of this group age. In order to accomplish this mission, it is necessary to build a self-confidence by activating the student activities and provide a platform for students to express themselves and sponsoring the community serving activities. Our university is ambitious. The sky is only our limit. There is 100 of ideas and the project was still in progress. And because we believe that communication is the key to achieve success, the Al-Mashraq University start a full schedule of conferences and workshops in different medical and humanitarian disciplines. The College of Dentistry will commence the first international conference in the next March 2022. We defeat difficulties and building confidence in our students. We started and won't stop building confidence against all odds.
Our message, equal our student. This is our first concept I will discuss with you. We learn an important lesson from this pandemic. Face-to-face learning has a great importance in coining the personality of our student. We need to make them understand their role in building the future. To achieve this concept, we do the basic 3 steps in the last year and our first year. Number 1, from student to students, a series of dialogue sessions discussing a various thematic issue which promote the development of their idea and ambitions presented by student to the student themselves. This is a lecture given by one of our students in our College of Dentistry about Iraqi Young Leaders Experience Program. They are interactive together. This student have an previous experience and in the past year, and she tried here to translate the basic concepts of this program to her colleagues. Number 2, being a part of your community. Encourage students to participate in community service and charity activities. Thinking out of box to break the traditional pattern of education. This is a student of College of Law, but they do something different today. They go to the mini local champion of physical strength. They break all the rules of how being a good lawyer. We believe that communication is the key to achieve the best. At local and national level, we present lectures by the name of University of Mashriq in national and international conferences held in Iraq in medical and humanitarian disciplines. This is our lecture in Al-Amid international conferences, and this is the dean and the deputy dean in this conference. At local and national levels, we're also hosting a scientific symposium on a range of subjects falling within scope of community service and raising the collective consciousness. This is an lecture for the dangers of uncontrolled use of antibiotic given in our university to our lecturers and students. At international level, Mashriq University has established a scientific agreement with Missouri State University, and one of the most prominent terms of the agreement is launch of training and professional development program in cooperation with IBDL Group for Learning in the Middle East. And just in the week before this deputy, the international IBDL come again and visit our university to follow the success of our agreement. Our future plan start with College of Dentistry prepared now hosting the first international conference in the next March, and I will be glad to welcome you. And this international conferences will be occur in the next March. Finally, the University of Mashriq is proud and to formally open our College of Fine Arts to become the first College of Fine Arts in Iraq at the private universities level. At the end, I thank you all for listening to me in these two few minutes. We're born in the pandemic. We don't fear from it at all, and we're ready for the next. Thank you, Dr. Rami.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haidar, for the interesting video and the brief and concise presentation about University of Mashriq in Baghdad, Iraq. Now I will ask the participants to ask questions. We have a question and answer session. And if any participant have a question, please write your name with a plus or question mark in the chat box, please. Any questions? Any comments? Okay, then, if there are no comments or questions, we will come to the end of the first part of our debate for today, and I will be summing up what we have presented today. And Dr. Haidar, you can stop the sharing of your presentation, please. So, with the debate of the University of the Future, I would like to inform the audience that notes from debate participants will be published in the special edition of debate articles, the University of the Future. And I would like to ask those who have not yet sent abstracts or scientific articles to send material to the coordinator by December 30. On the eve of the new 2022, please accept wishes of prosperity and the new achievements. We are planning a series of meetings and discussions in the new year and are waiting for your suggestions on the formation of discussion topics and meeting programs. I would like also to invite the participants to say a few words, and I'm going to give the floor to those who wish to speak now. So if anybody have few words about the debate, please go ahead. Yes, Dr. Sayed.
Yes, it was a wonderful day and a nice talks from all the participants. But I just wanted to comment on the talks from developing countries like Pakistan, Iraq, Uganda, and the universities they were presenting. It was amazing. And I hope that next year we'll visit all the vice chancellors. Chat.
Sorry, Prof. Sharma and all the participants, they put the microphone off till Dr. Sayed finish. Yes, go ahead, Dr. Sayed. Sorry for that.
Faculty and their expertise. I think that will be more fruitful for today's event.
Thank you very much. Glad. Thanks a lot. We are glad to hear that. Who's next? Anybody want to speak next? Yes, Prof. Dr. Sharma, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hadidi. It was a wonderful debate, having speakers from different countries, and how
in future university system, the technology is going to play an important role, particularly during this natural disaster of the COVID-19 pandemic, when we all in education system were not prepared to deal with, and we were caught unprepared, and it took some time for all of us to get adjusted to overcome the situation. But now we are prepared very well, and we have seen that pandemic 19 has also given us an opportunity to connect globally without much spending time on travel, as well as saving a lot of money. As we can see from today's debate, if it was not technology, then we could not have listened without spending much time and money. I remember in 2019, when I was invited to receive the award, I could not travel because of this reason only to UK. So this is one of the advantages of technology, and in coming years, we will be having less differences between have and not have, because we can also have access to the quality education in the universities of globally renowned universities. So therefore, our students will get much more access, and we can say it will be more inclusive education in future, because the resources, human resources, will be of world level, global resources, not confined to a particular place in coming years. And therefore, there will be more opportunity for knowledge sharing, as well as having more skill-oriented knowledge. And as has been also seen, that now our flexibility from the course contents, it will go to the skill-oriented, having those short courses of the credits which are having more application. And therefore, students will have education anywhere, anytime, and they will be made more responsible in self-learning, particularly the learning which will be more useful for their career and related to their choices of job, as well as the resources in their country or abroad available, where they can contribute to develop, particularly at the sustainable development and the development of humanity. Because in coming years, we have to see more role of the science and education in establishing peace among the people, where the brotherhood comes into play a greater role. Therefore, I think this technology is going to play a major role. The divides, inequality are temporarily seen because it is still emerging. But within no time, in last 1 year, the technology related to connecting people has grown like anything. And we have seen that the universities have reached to unreached areas, particularly the inter-university linkages with the university system. In tribal areas, you will be surprised to know that in our northeastern region, where we have the international borders which were not allowing more development, but technology has been a bridging source, connecting people of the rural areas to the urban areas and creating new opportunities for them to utilize their resources which are available in their areas. So I think the future universities have to also deliberate upon these issues, that how the sustainable education, and it can play an important role in bringing more education to the people, because still we are not having more higher education in many countries. It is hardly few percentage people are having, and therefore it will bring the more understanding, more logistic thinking, and this way it will also create more awareness to learn from each other, bring the different faiths together, different races together, different other factors which are dividing at the present. So in my opinion, the debate which you have initiated, the way you have moderated is wonderful. I highly appreciate. And though our university is a very young university, but it has got a lot of social responsibility. And also it is serving all the tribal people of northeastern region of different languages, different cultures, different faiths, and also they have been able to bring together into a level of the understanding. With your permission, I would like to share the video of our university in this juncture.
Okay, Prof, go ahead.
Okay. Just a second, please.
Thank you very much, Prof. Sharma, for the nice comments and the nice video. We are glad you are with us.
Thank you.
I can
Thank
see a nice note from Botany. Thanks to the organizers for such a wonderful session. Thank you very much, Botany. If you want to speak, you can go ahead if you want to make some comments.
Yes, thank you very much. And in fact, I must appreciate your reforms examination, which is required here to all of us. You have given so much information, and we will be including some of these your ideas, great ideas.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, because it is required, and how to make inclusive examination without creating much tension. That is
That's
how
true.
is required. And I think this will also help in developing better inclusive society, because our aim of education is that don't create fear in the mind of learners.
Definitely.
And yes, and certainly this will also help in bringing more new areas like artificial intelligence into our learning, and are also developing partnership. We would like to develop partnership with your Oxford Union of Academics. So I do not know how to go about it.
We are
because-
glad. You can write to us, and we
Yes.
will contact you, and we will be glad to cooperate with any of the participants and with your well-reputed organization.
Yes, so that we can start the global linkages between our institutes. And
Yeah.
you have so many experienced personalities, the great personalities in Oxford. We have given the name of one road, Oxford Road, in our university.
Oh,
You will
very
be glad
nice.
to know,
I'm so
because-
happy to hear that.
So our students should feel that they have Oxford in their own university. So
I hope they will have the road, and also in the near future, they will have the cooperation as well. Thank you very much, Prof. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, Botany, are you with us? Botany, thanks for your nice comment.
Yes, I'm here. I'm Professor Subrat Razak from Botany Department. It's a nice session. I witnessed a beautiful session here. And as it is very much discussed today, that what should be the goals and future of the education in this 21st century, and all the academicians are thinking about it. And we know that new subjects are emerging day by day. And naturally, above all, based on the core subjects, now the experts comment that there is a need of life and career skill, like your learning skill in a different way, like critical thinking and problem solving attitudes, through communication skills, through creativity, innovation skills, collaboration skills, contextual learning skills, and so on. And moreover, all these things are based on information technology, information and media technology. So along with the learning of the core subjects in this 21st century, we have to become acquainted with certain other skills also. And we are familiar with the certain reports came as Fred Newman from University of Wisconsin defines a set of standards for authentic instruction, authentic performance, authentic assessment task, and for the disciplined inquiry and construction of knowledge and value beyond the school. So this is a nice platform to discuss with these things. And I hope in future we'll join together to make a new kind of framework, so that give emphasis is given to the collaborative work. And as Professor Sharma already mentioned, there is a need of collaborative work above all for becomes acquainted with this education of the 21st century and acquiring the skills of the 21st century. Thank you. Thank you.
We will be happy here also to cooperate in the near future, and I'm glad to hear this nice points from you. And I think Dr. Gori also would like to flag a few points as well. Go ahead, Dr. Gori.
Yes, sir. Can I speak right now, sir? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Sir, we are reaching at the fag end of the program. Sir, it was a very thought-provoking session, although we have been bombarded by consecutive sessions of on different aspects of higher learning, ranging from the conception of future university to the pandemic impact on how to navigate our teaching learning process, to design a new pedagogy in a new normal period, and also the new vistas that is opening up, because the pandemic is not only creating a kind of obstacle or displacement, but also it is creating a kind of a new opportunity, no doubt about it. And already different scholars, including the professors of our Shirukanu Bisha University, they have shared their thoughts, and also the scholars of different across different corners of the world, they have also shared their views. And I think that together we create a kind of very enlightening thought that will actually pulsate our vision and navigate our future path to respond to the new challenge that is coming up. But sir, I have some points to share, because I think that we are not only living today in a new normal kind of situation, we are not only living in a kind of global village, but also I think that we need to redefine education at large. By redefining education at large, my first point would be to draw attention to the vernacularization of knowledge, the more plurality, to discover the plurality aspect of education, to redefine the context and educational needs of the learners. And when I speak of learning, assessing the needs of the learners, and kind of redesigning the strategy to teach them according to their local needs, I think that there should be more more freedom in kind of stretching our thoughts to plural kind of strategizing or synthesizing, because we are hearing different models, but at times it is creating confusion how to integrate all these models for the benefits, because all these models, they have pros and cons. So how to apply those models to different contexts, number one. Number two, how to apply those models in a kind of uniform way, because our situations, our regions, our socio-cultural system are different. So we need to think differently instead of I think running fast to adopt a kind of monocentric notion of technology specific learning, because technology comes later, our humankind comes first. So I think that that if we remember the very notion that knowledge is for the human being, by the human being, and of the human being, then I think that that a kind of fixed mindset that only the panacea lies ahead with adoption and the diffusion of a kind of sophisticated technology needs to be rethought, needs to be pondered over in a deeper fashion. This is my first point. Number two, in today's lecture, although various thought-provoking angles have been discussed and debated, yet I think that we have missed one important point, that our climate, our ecosystem is increasingly becoming fragile. And we are speaking in terms of, at different intellectual forum, we are speaking in terms of our sustainable goals that we have to be achieved by 2013. That is missing from various presentations that we had. We heard about different ICT tools, different assessments, and all that new format that we have to adopt to make our teaching learning go on through the different challenges, amidst different challenges. But I think that our learning, our teaching cannot bypass the ultimate problem of the scenario that is within the ecosystem in which we are based. So without keeping track with the greater the fragility question of the ecosystem within which we are becoming, as a mankind, our life, our prospect becoming vulnerable. We cannot deny it, we cannot bypass to it. So I think that why not we are starting up a kind of enlightening discourse across the country, rather than simply tagging our notion, spending our time behind technological tools and innovative tools. So I think more creativity, more care, in empathy, and kind of value-oriented education is needed, so that we can think about sustainability. I think that from that point of view, I think rather than techno-oriented socialization, we need human-oriented socialization through a new kind of syllabus that is in the humanities. We need to focus on that aspect. That is my humble
Dr. Gori, these are very important, points, and I would like to ask you if you can write it as an article and send it to us, please, so we might include it in the press release. It's very, very important. So I'll be very pleased if you can do that, and thanks a lot for such important points, dear doctor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
sir.